Another beautiful day here in Paris. Stade Roland Garros for the final of the women's singles 1993 French Open Tennis Championships. We started off 2 weeks ago with 128 women in the draw. When we reached the quarter-final stages, the top 8 seeds were left. But then, Betsy Nagelson, it was the Cinderella story of Mary Jo Fernandez.
Yeah, Fred, a couple of times, a couple of days during this championships, it didn't look like Mary Jo Fernandez would get by a couple of her matches, but she hung in so well, fought really hard, and I really think got the confirmation that for her to beat some top players aggressively, that's the way she has to do it.
What do you think she has to do, really, to win this one today against Steffi?
Well, you know, she's played her 10 times, and she hasn't beaten her. Mary Jo Fernandez has been to 2 Grand Slam finals, so I don't think being out here today will be a big intimidating factor for her. Hopefully she won't be overwhelmed by the occasion, and she has got to go out and play the same way that she played against Sabatini, Sanchez Vicario, take some chances and try to play aggressively.
The big factor, I feel, may be the big forehand from Steffi Graf. If Steffi comes out and starts off well, Mary Jo's in trouble?
Well, I tend to agree with that. I think that Mary Jo Fernandez has proven she can come from way behind and play well and come out a victor. Steffi Graf will need to get off to a good start, I think, because she has the ability in her game to move Fernandez around, which is a bit of a weakness. So I can see Steffi Graf using her backhand slice effectively, having a wide open court, coming up with a big forehand. But often in the past, Fred, you know, the occasion has gotten to Steffi Graf, and I'm not sure she's playing her best tennis right now, but she has come through fairly convincingly.
Well, that's our thoughts on the women's final, and 2 other fellows that have a few thoughts on it, John and Tony.
Thanks very much, Fari. Well, Nuke, you heard what they had to say about the match. What are your thoughts on it?
I think a lot's going to depend on the way that Mary Jo Fernandez plays this game. I think Graf's going to come out and she's going to play really well. We know what she can do. She's used to playing in these Grand Slam finals. Mary Jo's played in a couple, but she's lost 10 times in a row to Graf. She's going to figure out something that she has to do different, and I think that is going to have to be an aggressive game plan.
Can you play aggressively against Steffi Graf if she gets you on the defensive? When she hits that forehand so hard and moves you back off that baseline, it's pretty hard to be aggressive, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but she can pin Graf down on the backhand side. Graf doesn't come over the backhand that well. She slices most of the time. It's up to Mary Jo to figure out how to get the short balls and move into the net.
I think there's another thing that might happen, Nuke. If Steffi Graf misses some first serves, I think Mary Jo might try to really attack the second serve.
That would be a very good tactic. Now, what about destiny, Tony? The quarterfinal against Sabatini, Fernandez was down 6-1, 5-1, and 5 match points. Maybe she's destined to win this championship.
Well, she was in trouble against Brenda Schultz in the earlier round, also set in 3-5 down, so perhaps it is her destiny. We'll find out. The players have just about finished their warm-up, so let's go down to the booth with Fiery and Betsy.
Thanks, Tony. And the players just finishing their warm-ups before they get underway in the 1993 French Open Women's Final. And that's the chair umpire in charge of proceedings, Sandrine Dupré, a French lady that has had some good write-ups as far as doing a lot of umpiring over the past 25 years. And it's a great thrill for her to be here. You can see a packed stadium here. This tournament has been sold out for years now for the 2 weeks. And it's a tough ticket to get. And perfect conditions today. We've been very lucky at the French Open this year. Not too much rain. And Betsy, today the conditions couldn't be better.
No, they're perfect. And I think they really will favor both players. I think Steffi Graf will use these conditions to her advantage. She likes it nice and quick. And it's not so quick that Mary Jo Fernandez will be able to run down some of the very powerful shots.
Graf to serve. And things have started off just as we figured they would. A big first serve and an explosive forehand winner. Things to look for here throughout the tournament. Steffi Graf has been broken 11 times. Her service has been broken 11 times, as opposed to Mary Jo Fernandez 26 times. So Mary Jo having a lot of trouble holding serve throughout the tournament. As far as breaks of serve are concerned, Steffi Graf has broken her opponent's serve on 32 occasions. 32 of 54 return games, which is a 60% average, 59% average, and Fernandez has broken serve 39 times, 39 of 70 for a 56% average. So both women returning serve very well.
The serve is a very important part of the Graf game. When that's going well for her, usually the rest of her game is very good, and it's the return of serve that has kept Mary Jo Fernandez in this event.
Called long. So Mary Jo Fernandez ventures to the net, chasing a drop shot. Slides it down the line and anticipates the cross-court forehand. Doesn't do a lot with the volley, but reaches it. A good stretch there to make that volley, and then Graf missed the one down the line on the pass. So first game now, 2 break points to Fernandez. Well, a surprise right from the start. Fernandez breaks Graf in the opening service game and leads it 1 game to love. Welcome back to Stade Roland Garros here in Paris, and as we mentioned, a perfect day and a perfect start for Mary Jo Fernandez, the number 5 seed. She has been the one that has caused the upsets to get to her first Grand Slam clay court final. She's been in the final of the Australian, but she broke Graf in the first service game.
A very similar start yesterday when Steffi Graf beat Anke Huber. She was down 2 break points in her first service game, but she got out of it and lost 2 more points on serve in the rest of the first set and only 6 in the second set. Mary Jo Fernandez has faced the biggest server in the women's game today in Brenda Schultz in the round of 16, and that's when Mary Jo was down a set in 5-3 with Brenda Schultz serving at 30 love. So her return of serve was the reason she was able to survive that match. And she's been so effective since then with her return. She's been so aggressive, especially on second serves.
That always happens when you talk about somebody's second serve, and they creep in with a double fault. That's the only double fault for Fernandez, and I would venture to say that she's probably a little nervous. She's broken serve, an important game to try and hold. She's down love 30. Rather a timid effort on the two-hander, so 3 break points now for Graf to get even. Punishing forehand, gets the easy overhead. Harold Solomon there, who is Mary Jo Fernandez's coach, and next to him is Sylvia Fernandez, Mary Jo's mother. Good personal friend of mine, because I had quite a bit to do with Mary Jo in her younger years. And father, I don't believe, is here, but Sylvia is here with Mary Jo. love. Steffi Graf has reached the final by defeating Cecilia Dahlmann in the first round, straight sets. Andrea Stranadova, straight sets. Or Gildemeister, pretty easily. Eva Maioli, that was a tough one. Remember that name. She's a youngster, 15 years of age. You're going to hear a lot more from her. Jennifer Capriati in the quarterfinal. And Anke Huber, 6-1, 6-1 in the semi-final. It took under an hour to complete.
Basically, Steffi Graf's toughest match to reach this final was against Eva Maioli, who was the youngest person to play in this event. She's already in the top 50 in the world and really just started to play last year. Came on the computer at about 490.
Well, since winning that opening game, Fernandez has lost 7 points in a row.
This is always the danger with Steffi Graf. I mean, she has the potential to just totally overpower you.
Do a little too much too soon, so Graf whole serve leads it 2 games to 1 opening set. A great crowd on hand here for the women's singles final at Roland Garros. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of the 1993 Open Tennis Championships. Mary Jo Fernandez gets a good round of applause. She's excited the crowd here from the time she came back against Brenda Schultz on an outside court, court 11. Then on court 1, she was down 6-1, 5-1, 4 match points against down 6-1, 5-1, 4 match points against Gabriela Sabatini, her good friend. They live down in Miami, in Florida. Came back and won that in the 3rd set, and then to everybody's surprise took out Arantxa Sanchez Vicario very comfortably, 6-2, 6-2.
Her come from behind win over Sabatini was just one of the highest calibers of tennis after that first set in 6 games.
As John Newcomb mentioned in the stand-up, they've played on 10 occasions and Graf leads at 10-zip. But the last time was the 1993 German Open just a couple of weeks ago, where Graf won at 6-3 in the 3rd, but Fernandez won the first set 6-4, led 4-2, lost at 6-4, and then 3-love with 2 breaks in the 3rd. So she was a little tentative, and hopefully today she can stay in the same mode that took her to that easy victory against Sanchez Vicario. She has to do that, in my opinion, to stay in this match with Steffi.
Yeah, against Graf last week in Berlin, she said she didn't really become tentative. It was just that Steffi Graf raised the level of her game, and she didn't raise hers with Steffi's. And Mary Jo has said that she has grown up as a baseliner. That's the way she spent all of her childhood and young years on the tennis circuit playing. And now it's taken her a good year and a half working with Harold Solomon to become convinced that to beat the top players, she is going to have to take some chances and play more aggressively.
that was a game for Fernandez, the whole serve. It's 2 games all. When I was working with Mary Jo, we tried to do pretty much the same thing that Harold's done with her, and she knew very well when she first got through to the finals of the Australian down there, and she lost a close one to Steffi. But it's the commitment that you have to make, and sometimes making that commitment costs you a couple of matches because you make mistakes. You're not comfortable in doing that. I think now Fernandez is a little more comfortable in that aggressive mode because technically she does volley well.
0-15.
Philippe Chatrier, the past president of the French Federation, sitting next to the cup, the Coupe Susan Longlon. The winner of this match will receive a replica of that trophy.
This is an interesting stage of the match right now. A double fault and a forehand error from Steffi Graf, and those are the 2 parts of her game that when she gets a little bit nervous or she rushes herself, those are the areas that will break down a little bit. And those are also the areas that her game revolves around.
That was the game plan for Fernandez on second serves, and she has stayed to it so far. Love 40, 3 break points.
A smart serve from Steffi Graf. She took a little bit off of it. Mary Jo was way behind the baseline, and it was a mishit. Mistimed it. Let's get another look at the cup. The winner and the runner-up will receive.
This now becomes a very important game for both players. You see the time clock there, 15 minutes so far. Fernandez really can't afford to let an opportunity like this slip with love 40, and of course if Graf gets out of it, it will give her a little bit more of a boost.
Steffi.
Christian Beam, his wife Christian Beam, took over from Philippe Chatrier as the president of the French Tennis Federation. A lot of other dignitaries sitting in the president's box there, but we're not sure of their names or who they are, who they represent.
This is, as you mentioned, Fred, I think just an absolutely huge game psychologically for both players. Steffi Graf showing a drop shot a couple of points ago, and that's the type of shots that she's added to her game. She's talked about how she's mixing her game up better. She's throwing a lot of short balls, drop shots, coming over her backhand more, and she knows that she needs to come in at the right moments, and she's doing all of that much better than she has been.
That's a shot that Fernandez has played well, more so off the forehand side than the backhand side. She did so well against Sabatini and against Sanchez-Vicario. That was brilliantly played.
Yeah, she won a lot of points yesterday off the forehand side against Sanchez-Vicario, and again, it's effective because she's well inside the baseline. Good play from Fernandez. For a second, right there, it looked like she may have played the drop shot. That she does one of the two, but she hit a nice drive and followed it in, showed some good hands. Showed her expression at the end that was coming as a very hard shot from Graf, but she just held her racket out in front and used Graf's pace.
That had Harold Solomon, he's Mary Jo's coach, out of his seat.
It was a break, Mary Jo's fourth break point. A big serve from Steffi. Not only does Steffi get a lot of pace on her serve, but she places it so well. Mary Jo, you can see the respect that she has for Steffi's first serve, because look how far back behind the baseline she stands to wait to receive. Second serve, she'll move well inside the baseline. She wants to try to attack second serves.
Mademoiselle Fernandez.
Mary Jo Fernandez showing a full repertoire of shots. Good speed here. She reads it well. And then again, just great touch. This one very well executed.
And it's another break point now. Break point number 5 in this game for Fernandez. One's wide. All wide, so Fernandez breaks serve once more and now leads 3 games to 2 first set. There's Fernandez leads it 3 games to 2, opening set. And some people thought that Graf might run away with this final. It doesn't appear to be that way as yet, because Fernandez has the break. There's been 3 service breaks in the 5 games played.
Great point. You know, you get the feeling, Fred, from Mary Jo Fernandez as we take another look at this.
0-15.
Great point. Both players were all over the court. And Steffi Graf doing the same kind of thing. She's got such a huge weapon with the forehand, and in the past has always just taken the short ball and punished it. Now she can do that as well as the drop shot. It leaves the opponent guessing, and often caught flat-footed on the baseline. Fred, I was just saying that, you know, Mary Jo, the last couple of days, having gotten through the Schultz match, then the Sabatini match, and then comfortably beating Sanchez Vicario, I really believe she actually thinks now and believes in herself that she can win these very final stages of big tournaments. I mean, she's been such a consistent performer in her career.
Tough shot to miss that one, but the right idea. I think she has to stay in that aggressive mode, and I agree with you there, Betsy, because Fernandez has had a very good season starting in the Australian. She has not been outside the quarterfinals. She's been in the quarterfinals, she's been in a few semi-finals, and she's won 1 event, the Indian Wells.
In 54 tournaments that Mary Jo Fernandez has played in since reaching the final back in '90 at the Australian Open.
Henri Leconte. And with these bright sunglasses on. Sorry, Bets.
Mary Jo Fernandez has only lost twice in the first round, and that was to two very good players on indoor quick services in Brenda Schultz and Jana Novotná. And that's just to underline how consistent she is. She's always in the latter stages of tournaments, big and small. But she's only been to two finals, and they were both in Australia.
Fashions that are seen out here in the final days, the final weekend of the French Open. And it's game point now to Fernandez to consolidate this second break of serve in the first set. And she does it. Fernandez now leads 4 games to 2. That last forehand, Betsy, I think that if Fernandez can keep the ball deep to the Graf forehand with some pace. Steffi has such a quick backswing that it's difficult, but it has to be deep, and she's got to be made and forced to make that quick shot. That's caused a couple of problems so far in this match. Easy to say from here, but you've got to keep that ball deep. It's no good having it half court for the Graf forehand.
And plus, Steffi would rather have a forehand from the middle of the court or even towards her backhand because she likes the inside-out forehand better than the wide forehand.
Well, that one there was hit with a lot of pace, and Graf just not there. Couldn't commit herself, couldn't too quick a swing. Steffi Graf was given some pretty pleasant news now that she's through to the final. Her mother, Heidi Graf, who just flew in from Miami overnight, West Palm Beach actually. She's had she's had back surgery and serious back surgery. And came over here on the airplane, is in a wheelchair. And, is present to watch her daughter play in this Grand Slam final. Steffi's dad, Peter, and brother Michael are also here.
Porte 15.
Big forehand, a couple of big forehands in this point from Steffi Graf, and a couple of matches earlier on, Steffi was not pleased with her forehand. She's been making a few more errors than she would like.
Yeah, Fernandez read that one. Fernandez on the move before Graf even attempted that drop shot.
This is an area of the Mary Jo Fernandez's game that she's worked very, very much on, that is the physical side, you know, the speed and the strength. She's not exceptionally fast or strong, but she anticipates and she reads the ball off the opponent's racket so well.
Graf holds. Fernandez leads 4 games to 3, opening set.
Mademoiselle Fernandez mène par 4 jeux à...
Terrific tennis in the women's singles final here today, as a very interesting match is developing. Mary Jo Fernandez still with a service break in hand, leads at 4 games to 3. As you've just joined us, Fred Stolle with Betsy Nagelson. Graf lost her opening serve of the match, then immediately broke Fernandez for 1-all. Fernandez then broke again to lead 3-2 and held for 4-2.
Service ace from Mary Jo Fernandez. She doesn't often serve aces, but she will very often serve very effective and well-placed serves. It's not an explosive serve, but she does place it extremely well. Good smart serve too, I think.
Yeah, this was what Mary Jo Fernandez was hoping for, was a few errors from the forehand from Steffi Graf, and they have crept in the last couple of service games. 40 love. Another one, trying to run around the backhand and hit the big forehand. But she was cramped. She had to hurry the shot. And Steffi Graf is talking to herself as Fernandez leads 5 games to 3 in the first set.
Un peu de silence, s'il vous plaît, merci.
Jo Fernandez's forehand has worked so well for her to come up with a winner from this difficult a position on the court. Well behind the baseline, out in the doubles alley, and to come up with that kind of an angle with that kind of pace.
Well, 15.
Jo thought she had the ball by Steffi Graf, who shows just exceptional athleticism and good hands up here at the net. And a great get from Steffi Graf, and that was about the best place to put that ball. Good soft hands.
15 all. A big save.
Felt that Steffi Graf, who's won, most of her matches and been the #1 player in the world or #2 since 1986 because of the forehand and her serve. But if she would ever develop into a more aggressive player in terms of coming to the net, she'd just be that much more intimidating for everybody.
Beautifully played slice backhand. Graf has been practicing throughout this tournament, or hitting a lot more topspin backhands when she's been put under pressure. It's something that, again, she's been practicing for a long while, but just would not use in matches. 30 all.
She has been playing with more conviction in terms of coming into the net. When she hits, she can see how, you see, she can see that she's hit a big forehand. She's going to get a weak reply, so she moves in, tries to get in as close to the net as she can. That's the way she played to beat Arantxa Sanchez Vicario a couple of weeks after she had lost to her in the final of Lipton.
For also, Betsy, here is the fact that Graf can slide into that backhand and make that sliding motion and play the slice backhand. And Mary Jo doesn't have that luxury because of the two-hander. She can't slide into it. She's got to track over there and get the feet moving. So she's got to run a little bit further, do a little bit more leg work than Graf. Deuce. And now this is set point.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Fernandez.
Set point Fernandez.
S'il vous plaît, merci. Égalité.
Just some very heavy balls, forehands from Steffi Graf, forcing Mary Jo Fernandez way too deep in the court to be able to get any power on the defense in that point.
These pictures are from our friends here, courtesy of our friends here, French television. Deuce. Like watching the parents when they play a close point like that. And Sylvia Fernandez can hardly sit still. She's up and down, and Harold Solomon just sits there. He has to watch these every day of the week. One's long.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Graf.
So Graf survives a set point and now has game point on her serve.
Mademoiselle Graf.
The only ace from the Graf racket so far in this match, but what a time for it to happen. 5 games to 4,
Mademoiselle
Fernandez leads.
Fernandez mène par 5 jeux à 4.
Steffi Graf comes in and bangs the overhead away, makes that stretch volley. This is the one that she saved, and an early Graf volley there as Fernandez drilled the two-handed down the line. That was early in that last game. She survived a set point. Now Mary Jo Fernandez serving for the first set in the 1993 women's final here at the French Open. First played back in 1986 in the Virginia Slims of Florida. That was just after Fernandez had turned pro. Mary Jo Fernandez, 22 years of age.
Mary Jo Fernandez trying to play the short ball, and not a bad idea. Graf was about on the baseline. She even hesitated for a split second, but it wasn't executed good enough, and Graf was able to get a good jump on it.
and wide. Graf will be 24 come the 14th of June, always just a couple of weeks before Wimbledon. She celebrates her birthday. So it's 30 all, 5-4.
A good deep backhand from Mary Jo Fernandez, and Steffi Graf played that backhand slice with an awful lot of spin as she was backing up and just caught the net cord to set up a break point.
Premier service.
Pretty gutsy second serve because she has had problems on the second delivery, and she went for that one down the tee.
She's done that a couple of times, actually, Mary Jo Fernandez. She's not afraid to take that serve and a second serve and hit it out to the forehand side, which is, of course, Graf's best side, but you've got to be able to do that. That ball skidded off the line, made it difficult for Graf to control.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Fernandez.
So this is now another set point. This is the second one Mary Jo has had. She had one on Steffi's serve in the previous game. She got the ball I think she wanted.
It looked as though she wanted about the third stroke in when she hit that forehand, and Graf's slice return floated and landed just inside that baseline, and then the rally continued on. Back to deuce. Set point number 3, and a little lucky to get away with that one because it was a good deep second serve, but not a very good effort at a forehand. Graf would not be happy with that shot.
Un peu de silence, s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Tremendous effort from Graf from that part of the court. I thought it was a pretty fair lob, a defensive lob. Fernandez
Égalité.
put up. It was good, three-quarter. Look how far back it was in the court. And Graf just gets underneath it and swings and gets the angle and gets it away from the outstretched hands and arms on Mary Jo Fernandez on the run. So a titanic battle going on here. We're back to deuce. Boy, how many chances can you have against
Fernandez.
the former number one? Well, she is the number one player in the world again now. She's reached that stage after winning her semi-final match here. Taken over the number one spot from Monica Seles, who has not been playing for a number of weeks. That unfortunate stabbing incident a few weeks ago. That's wide. So the first set goes to Mary Jo Fernandez in just 48 minutes of play.
Première manche.
6 games to 4.
Mademoiselle Fernandez.
And a good round of applause from this packed house here for these two women for a well-played opening set. And Trabes, you've been watching this alongside us. Your thoughts on the opening set?
Well, I thought Mary Jo played a tremendous set of tennis. I think she's learned from this first set that she can rally with Steffi, and if she's patient enough to wait to get what she wants, she can very well win this thing. She can rely on some free shots, some errors from Steffi Graf.
15-0. Zéro.
Well, just stepping up her game a little bit, isn't she? 2 aces and a huge forehand winner. Give her a 40-love lead in this opening game of the second set.
In case you've just joined us, Steffi Graf is now the number one player in the world and the number one seed here. Mary Jo Fernandez seeded number 5. Fernandez winning the opening set. Played 10 times before. Mary Jo Fernandez has not defeated Steffi Graf. The last time they played was the closest one. Graf was down a set and a break, came back, won the match. And this time, Mary Jo threads the needle with that two-handed backhand. Maybe a case of, well, Mary Jo says, well, nobody beats me 11 times in a row.
And again, Mary Jo Fernandez, when she gets the chance, is really taking the initiative. She's looking for a ball to attack, and here she comes in off the backhand, takes the ball pretty early, moves in. Just a much more aggressive thinker. She's always been such a smart player, Mary Jo Fernandez.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Graf.
Game point, Graf.
And again, it's the pace of shot from Fernandez off the Graf second serve. You see Steffi, who's so quick, was a little step slow to get over to the shot off the return. And Steffi had a 40-love lead in this game. This is a second deuce.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Graf.
Game point again for Graf. Well, I think we've seen the last of Fernandez being afraid to play an aggressive game. She's lucky she was up against Brenda Schultz in the early stages of this tournament, down a set in 5-3, 30 love. Schultz led on a serve. She got out of it. 6-1, 5-1 down against Sabatini. And it's been her aggressive play that has gotten her through it. And I believe what Betsy said now, I think she may be a different tennis player. She has not won this match. She may not win it, but irrespective of that fact,
Mademoiselle
I
Graf.
think this French Open will make a big difference to the future of Mary Jo Fernandez. Game point once more for Graf.
This game is turning into I think, a very pivotal one, both psychologically and here in this second set. Mary Jo fought back from a 40-love deficit, plays a perfectly executed lob, so Steffi Graf knows it off the forehand side of Fernandez. She can pound it with a winner, she can hit a drop shot, and she can also lob fairly well. Steffi Graf, by reaching the final, became #1 again. And she says that that's something that she doesn't even think about or look at. It's far more important for her to be in the final of a Grand Slam. She took it over from Monica Seles, who held on to that since September of '91. 91 weeks.
Finally, the first serve into the backhand, and Graf holds, leads 1-love, second set. Magnificent centre court here at Stade Roland Garros. Beautiful setting today, a very warm day, possibly one of the warmest we've had throughout the tournament for the women's singles final. And still to come on Wide World of Sports around 3 a.m. after the cricket. After you cricket fans, stay there, because tomorrow morning we will be bringing you the men's final featuring Jim Courier against Sergi Bruguera. And then, don't forget, this is just an appetizer. Couple of weeks' time, we've got the big one at Wimbledon. Live coverage for 2 weeks. And a most enjoyable 2 weeks it is. So put that down in your calendar for Wimbledon. Mary Jo Fernandez serving. She won the first set, 6-4. Trails 1-love in the second. Jeff Pollard, the president of Tennis Australia, in the international box there. Also along with him is Brian Tobin and his wife Carmen. He's now the president of the International Tennis Federation. Australia's great one, Lou Hode and his wife Jenny, also there. Tony Travitt's working with us up here, but his wife Vicky has been taken care of by Lou and Jenny Hode. This is an easy service game for Fernandez, Betsy, and this is just what she needs in the early going of the second set.
And it's exactly what Steffi Graf shouldn't, be giving to Mary Jo. A critical part of the second set. Steffi Graf, always her own worst critic. She gets so frustrated when she makes careless errors, and a few of those have been creeping in here in this early young stage of the second set.
Now she's got to be a little careful, Fernandez, because this drop shot was telegraphed, and you've got to make him a good one. You can see there Graf was on that one in a flash and slides the backhand down the line, with Fernandez looking for the cross court. A big point now, 40-30. Fernandez showing that she is confident now around the net area. Besides, this time it's a big point. She goes in, makes the commitment, and then faces a pretty tough volley here on the backhand side and makes no mistake with it.
And isn't it just a fine margin, too, between knowing that you can not only make the shot, but knowing that that's the way you're going to have to win your points, as opposed to should do it.
Exactly. One game all. Thing about knowing what you should do, and we don't see too many of those topspin backhands, but she knows that she has to add that shot to her repertoire somewhere along the line.
Kaza.
All.
Oh. 30-15.
The French crowd now starting to impose themselves on their favourite players. Graf, of course, has won this title a couple of times before. Mary Jo Fernandez shooting for her first Grand Slam title.
Mademoiselle Graf.
Well, Graf holds on and leads it 2-1, second set.
Mademoiselle Graf mène par 2 jeux à 1.
Well, there are quite a few German fans here that are cheering for Steffi Graf, who, as we mentioned, took over the #1 spot in the world once more. She held it for 2 or 3 years. Betsy,
the record 186 weeks she had it.
Yeah, that's a long time. 186 weeks as the #1 player in the world. She lost it to Monica Seles. She's now regained it, but she's down a set to Florida's Mary Jo Fernandez.
Mary Jo Fernandez has had herself a pretty good year this year. She was able to end a title drought. She had won back-to-back tournaments in '90 toward the end of that year. One in Stuttgart and one in Tokyo, and didn't win a tournament until just in March of this year. She was able to capture her 3rd career title at the Indian Wells event, the Everett Matrix Cup, beating Amanda Kutzer, who's been having herself a great year. Amanda had a couple of match points in the tiebreak in that match in the 3rd set, but Mary Jo Fernandez prevailed. So she's pretty good at coming back from match points down.
30 love. Jo Fernandez just signed herself a new clothing contract. Those folks will be very happy that she's in the final here. First Grand Slam tournament since that was done. Although I believe she had signed with them before the Australian Open.
Jo Fernandez always really one of the most modest and self-effacing players on the circuit. Very well liked by the rest of the players. Another look at a punishing forehand.
40-15. She has been prone to injury a little bit over the years, though, hasn't she? As far as you have a look at her, she's not the strongest person out there on the tour, and she does have had ankle problems and a stomach pull and
knee strain, and
yep.
She fractured her toe. She missed the French Open in 1988.
And one's wide, so Fernandez holds serve. 2 games all, 2nd set.
Mary Jo Fernandez had a relatively healthy year in '92, and that was really the first time in about 3.5 years that she went a whole year without some kind of an injury. She's worked very hard, dedicated herself to being more fit and taking precautions not to get injured. It's a very grueling circuit, and you've got to do a lot of off-court training.
0-15.
Very important stage of the match now, because Steffi Graf has to start to think that she is in a big fight at 2-all in the second. Love 30. Winner of this match takes home $540,000 US, and the Coupe Susan Longlong. The runner-up, $270,000 US. That equates to, as far as the winner, about 675,000 Australian dollars for the winner, 337,000 for the runner-up. A lot of bucks. Big point right there, that backhand. You see Steffi Graf's footwork, how she stays on her toes and moves. She's always on the move to get in position. That's the forehand she's hit there, but again, just tap dancing around, and most of the work you can see is done on her toes.
Well, from love 30 down, she's played 3 very, very good points, an ace, and a couple aggressive points from the baseline.
Game point. Graf fights back from love 30 down, wins 4 points in a row. Whole serve, leads 3 games to 2, second set. Well, I sense a little bit of a turnaround here. We've talked about how Fernandez must stay aggressive. In that last game, she had love 30 and then steered at 15-30. She steered a two-handed down the line that was about a metre long, and then pushed a forehand about 2 metres long on the last point of the game. So I hope that that is taken note of, and that she has to not do that, because otherwise Graf will be right back in this match. Very aggressive point there, Betsy, but sometimes that's caused through thinking that, hey, I might be able to win this one now.
Yeah, if you could somehow just never think about the score, never think about the occasion, focus on the point that you're playing at the moment, but that's just so difficult to do when you're
it's easy from up here, though, isn't it?
Playing the final of a Grand Slam event. But Fred, I do like the way, you know, she's continuing to move forward, get herself well inside the baseline whenever she can, and to keep attacking. I think in the past she might revert to her more steady baseline defensive style of play, but I think this championships, no matter whether she wins or loses this final, will really convince her that she can play aggressively. Solomon, Mary Jo's coach, and Sylvia Fernandez, Mary Jo's mom, watching. Sylvia gets so nervous watching her daughter, a very close family. This is the perfect movement from Steffi Graf, just one of the best athletes playing the game today, moves so well.
She's one of the best athletes in any sport, in my opinion. She is so graceful on the court, she moves so well, she is so fit and strong. And there's a shaky second serve. We have not seen that for a while. And again, I mentioned in the last game, I just noticed little bits and pieces creeping into Mary Jo's game. I know it backwards from 13 to 18, when I had a lot to do with that development. Better shot.
Good service motion. You can see Mary Jo is willing to stay her ground, stay inside the baseline after the serve, See how close she gets to the net, makes the volley much easier.
Still a break point for Graf.
Well, aided by yet another error from Steffi Graf as she is talking to herself. This court central for Steffi Graf has certainly been a roller coaster of emotions. It's where she won her first ever Grand Slam event in 1987. It's also where she suffered her worst defeat at the hands of Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, 6-love, 6-2. That was a pretty bad service miss from Mary Jo Fernandez. Well, you can sense a little bit different body language in Mary Jo Fernandez, just a little bit tighter, just a little bit more, just less aggressive.
A little more tentative, yeah. And Graf now with another break point.
One of the ways to try to get yourself out of thinking of the score and the nervous tension is to just really concentrate on exactly what you're trying to do with the ball, whether it be a technical thing or whether it be a strategical thing. Pick your place.
And a great save from Fernandez. Both women serving quite well. Graf at 63% on first serves and Fernandez at 61%, so there's not much difference there. That's a pretty good play, that approach, because what it does, it forces Graf to be a little over-aggressive. She knows that she's got to hit that one for a winner. Normally with that topspin forehand, she'd give that a little more air. She'd get it over the net about 3 or 4 feet. On that occasion, she had to go for a little extra and netted it. So it's game point Fernandez.
Égalité.
Juice again.
Another look at the players section, but a good aggressive point again from Mary Jo Fernandez. She's the one that's going to has been taking the first chances of getting in. So solid. Rarely does Mary Jo Fernandez make a bad error. She just doesn't miss the shots.
It was not a great volley, but it was good enough to put pressure on Graf to have to come up with the big forehand again. She was a little quick with the swing once more. Game point Fernandez.
Égalité.
she's definitely going for it. Another error on another game point, but that you could say that about the game of Mary Jo Fernandez. There's no one real big shot, but everything is very efficient. And now that she's added the element of coming forward, moving into the court, taking the ball a little bit earlier, and volleying well, she's very solid at the net with a good overhead. She's had some good doubles results. Got to the finals of the Australian Open with Patty Findig a couple years ago. Won it with Patty Findig, as that error off the backhand now gives Steffi Graf her third break point in this game. Mary Jo was down 15-40, fought back, had a couple of game points.
Égalité.
And this serve into the corner sets up the forehand, and even as quick as Steffi Graf is, she can't track that one down. So it's deuce for the 5th time. Longest game of the match so far.
Sort of feel like Steffi's saying, finally. This is one of the few times that Mary Jo has come in from the baseline with a slice, not very much on it, and it allowed Steffi Graf some time to hit her forehand. That's the one she likes, the inside-out one. The slice backhand of Steffi Graf is probably the best in the game, in the women's game, and then this is the shot she likes so well.
Oh, juice now for the 6th time.
Well, every time Mary Jo has had a break point against her, she's either played a good shot or she's been aided by an error from Steffi. 4 break points Mary Jo has saved in this service game.
Fernandez will certainly take the 25 seconds that's needed before the next point. She was exhausted halfway through that rally, but read the drop shot.
And a couple of times, Mary Jo Fernandez was way behind the baseline. She had to cover an awful lot of court to get to this drop shot. And Steffi seemed just a step slow on this one. And really, it looked like Mary Jo was out of the point. So she's got a game point again. The tactic, I don't think it was a good idea, surprise tactic to serve and volley. She had just played a very long point, but Graf played an excellent return, forcing Fernandez to have to play a half volley, and then she had a great lob.
I'm happy to see that she's thinking that way. Juice.
I do think that not only the hours of tennis that Mary Jo Fernandez has played, she's played 11 and a half hours of tennis compared to Steffi's 6 hours and 45 minutes. But that was the first time Mary Jo didn't make an attempt to the drop shot. She's played several long points in this game.
Yeah, the average time of the match is because of Mary Jo Fernandez's three-setters. She's been out there for nearly 2 hours in average per match, whereas Steffi Graf is just a fraction over an hour and 7 minutes. So the amount of time on court has been pretty much twice as much for Graf and twice as much for Fernandez as far as the time on the court and number of games played, everything. As you have a look at Mary Jo get underneath this overhead smash, she has a very safe overhead if she lets the ball bounce. Doesn't miss too many of those. So we're back to juice once more.
Just great foot speed from Steffi Graf. That would have been a winner against anybody else. This volley from Mary Jo Fernandez. Look, Steffi Graf was in the doubles alley of one side. Not only does she get it, but she's able to get there in time to use her good hands and get the ball just hard enough that Mary Jo Fernandez couldn't get to it.
We've had 8 juices in this game for Fernandez, and this, I believe, is Graf's 8th break point in this game. So she's going to be going crazy not converting break points. Well, after an unbelievable battle of strength and wit, Graf breaks serve and leads now 4-2 in the second set. And it's a very tired Mary Jo Fernandez. Goes back for the towel. The finish of that rally, finish of that game, by far the longest game of the match. He's mentioned 8 juices and 8 break-point chances for Graf. Finally, she succeeds and leads it 4-2.
Merci.
Guessed right. Mary Jo Fernandez does a good job from way behind the baseline to get to this drop shot. One of the things that Mary Jo doesn't do that well is slide. You can see she takes a couple of steps to stop after she got there, so it made her a little bit slow to recover.
Good point. We talked about sliding, and Graf has grown up on this surface and slides into the backhand. She can slide into the drop shot. Mary Jo Fernandez has that two-handed backhand. She don't slide in. She can't slide in it. You got to get to it to hit it. The same with the drop shots. She doesn't have the ability to slide, or she doesn't quite know how to as yet. And I suspect at the moment that Fernandez is just starting to get a little weary. Fernandez taking her time now, keeping Graf waiting. Graf likes to play at a very quick pace particularly when she's in front.
That serve skidded off the line again. These lines are very quick. It's tough to time it if the ball hits the line.
40 love. A very solid game then from Steffi Graf as she consolidates that break now and leads it 5 games to 2, second set. And Mary Jo Fernandez, after that last service game, is requesting a bathroom break, and one of the officials goes with the player when that happens, just so they can't get any coaching assistance when they get off the court. And we just wait for Mary Jo to come back on court. But in case you've just joined us, I'm Fred Stolle along with Betsy Nagelson. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of the final days of the 1993 French Open Tennis Championships, the women's singles final. First set, terrific. First set was won by Mary Jo Fernandez 6 games to 4. And at this stage, it is Steffi Graf who's taken the lead 5-2 in the second set. And at 3-2, a long service game, Graf won that game, and I think now Mary Jo Fernandez looks a little weary. And John Newcombe, you've been watching this. What are your thoughts on the first set and half?
Yes, Fred, a fascinating contest, and it looked like halfway through that second set, Graf just picked up the pace a little bit, started hitting the balls a little bit harder, a little bit deeper. That's putting Fernandez on the back foot. But Mary Jo in that game at 3-2, that seemed to be a key game, Fred, and you got to hand it to her. She did try to keep the pace going, didn't she? Tried to come in a couple of times, and she didn't back off. I think that Graf has just picked up the pace.
Well, there was a stage in that second set where we thought that Fernandez had started to take a little bit off the ball, thinking that possibly she could win her first Grand Slam title. But this lady, just to have a look at the footwork of Steffi Graf, how she gracefully just moves around the court, keeps herself on her toes, likes to recover, gets back into the center of the court, bounces around, shoulder turn again for the forehand, and just constantly on the move. We wait for Mary Jo Fernandez, and now Steffi Graf has asked well, if Mary Jo can do it, I better get out there as well. So
Steffi Graf just going off to change her shirt. You're allowed to go off the court 2 times in a match for a bathroom break.
This is the first time I've seen a final with nobody on the court.
Mary Jo Fernandez is allowed 5 minutes to do this now. Here she comes now. The locker room is just behind this court central.
She's going to get out there and find she hasn't got anybody to play against. She realises that Steffi Graf is not there, and Sandrine Dupré, who is in charge of the proceedings, just has the time clock on to make sure they don't exceed the limit.
D'après le règlement, les joueuses ont le droit d'aller au vestiaire se changer.
And so she has made the announcement that both players have been in the locker room to change their shirts, their tops, and
that was probably a smart thing for Steffi Graf to do. It was very humid, and she had been waiting for a couple of minutes. She had gone out to actually hit a few practice serves, and then Mary Jo had not come back yet, so she ran off to change, get into a dry shirt. She's got a 5-2 lead here.
Smart thing for both of them to do. They've been out there an hour and 35 minutes, and I think Mary Jo probably needed a bit of a breather at that stage. Well, we're just about ready to go again. It's 5-2, Graf leading, with Fernandez to serve to stay in the set. 15 all.
A couple of quick points, but a couple of well-placed serves from Fernandez. She's done that fairly well today. She served some wide balls, both on first and second serves, out to the Graf forehand.
Trente.
30 all. And you have the sense that Graf is starting to get on top of things here.
That was a quick shot of Heinz Guntart, who is Steffi Graf's coach. Has been with her almost 2 years now.
Yeah, the wheels are starting to fall off a little bit from Fernandez, not moving the feet.
And instead of moving forward, yeah, you can see she's getting caught several feet, several yards behind the baseline.
This now is set point for Graf for the second set. And a tired double fault
Graf, 6-2.
gives Steffi Graf the second set. And so that game midway through that second set that Graf won after 8 break-point opportunities, 8 deuces. It's certainly told on Fernandez as far as her physical fitness is concerned. I think, Betsy, it's a set all now.
Not sure I've ever seen Steffi Graf tired and physically worn out in a match. Even in last year's final, that unbelievably fantastically played final, a very dramatic finish with Monica Seles winning 12-10 in the third set after just over 3 hours of tennis.
Graf has won 12 of the last 14 points. Fernandez stops the rot right there.
Yes, that was definitely a tired shot. Steffi Graf has just weathered the storm so well. She's moved the ball around. We mentioned how the way she hits the ball, she's forcing Fernandez to do a lot more running. And it's taking and has taken its toll on Mary Jo Fernandez. And the other thing, too, we mentioned about Fernandez you watch closely, she ends up taking a step or two after each shot, so she's actually forced to cover more ground. And after an hour and 40 minutes of play, that also takes its toll. But she's definitely sticking with her strategy. She has a purpose.
40.
Then she takes advantage of a short ball in the middle of the court. Steffi does a good job just to get to it. Mary Jo Fernandez is very quick to read it and move in, take that volley at high level of the net, put it away.
I think that's a good play from Fernandez, that two-handed backhand to the Graf forehand, because Graf is looking for it to the backhand side. They like to get over. She likes to get over there and cover that backhand for the forehand, and if you can be solid with it, and again, it's the quick swing of the Graf forehand makes some errors. So now we have a break point opportunity for Fernandez.
Égalité. Premier service. Mademoiselle Fernandez.
So a second break point for Mary Jo Fernandez. This opening service game from Steffi Graf in the third set. Mary Jo just taking her time.
Turnaround there as Graf led 40-15 in that game. Fernandez has come back with break serve. She leads 1-0. Final set. There, the trainer came out to Mary Jo Fernandez and gave her some glucose or some salt pills, and maybe Betsy, we've talked the fact that she's pretty dog-tired at the moment.
She's played a tremendous amount of tennis to get to this final. She's having to work very hard out here today, and Kathleen Stroya, who's the trainer for the WTA, came out and gave her some salt tablets or some glucose pills, carbohydrate type things.
And we must tell you that in order to have an injury timeout, it must be for an injury. It cannot be for cramp. If she gets cramp or she gets pains in the stomach or she just is absolutely dog-tired, you can't take that 3-minute injury timeout. It has to be a sprained ankle or a pulled muscle or something that needs treatment. So Mary Jo Fernandez just looks very, very weary at the moment. Well, 15.
Does have a break in hand.
Again, you talk about the amount of court coverage that Mary Jo Fernandez has to do as opposed to Graf. On a point like that, she has to run and throw up the lob, whereas you would find Graf would slide to that shot and throw up the lob. She wouldn't have to run those extra 4 or 5 steps each way on forehand and backhand side.
It's one of the things that Mary Jo Fernandez, with Harold Solomon's help, has done so much better. She's cutting the angle off, so she's more willing to move inside the court and therefore not having to move so far. Very well played drop shot. You can see she gets some angle on it going inside out. And then she's got the open court to play the double-handed backhand. And she played it, the drop shot well inside the baseline, so that's why that was so effective.
A well-placed serve, set up the forehand, and she went with it.
40-30.
Kathleen Stroya, one of 2 trainers that have been here all week long for all the players. They work very hard, 128 women in the field. They've got an awful lot of work to do with everybody.
Fernandez looking up to the chair, and Sandrine Duprat says yes, it was a fault. Second serve coming. 40-30. That was worth a crack on that two-hander then, Betsy, rather than try and roll it back. If she is starting to feel tired, she's got to take a few more risks.
Exactly. Cannot afford to let the points go on very long. Certainly didn't play that point like there was any fatigue involved. She was very quick. Now watch, this is one of the things we mean. She takes a couple, well, that time was not too bad, a couple of steps after the forehand, but she hit it so hard
Avantage.
that Graf
Mademoiselle Fernandez.
was very much on the defense with this one, and then Mary Jo was able to get up there quickly enough to pound it away, but she's taking her full time between points. Couple of deep breaths.
It's a very warm day out here today too. This is probably the hottest, the muggiest day that we've had the championships this year. But she has struggled, and she has survived so far. Fernandez consolidates the early break in the third set. Exhausted as she is, she leads at 2 games to love.
One of the other things about Mary Jo Fernandez is the fact that, Fred, she perspires more, I think, than any of the other players. I've played
Un petit lance, s'il vous plaît,
lots of
merci.
doubles with Mary Jo Fernandez, and she doesn't even have to work very hard in a match, and her shirt will be soaking wet, and that just means that she loses a tremendous amount of body fluid and a lot of salt.
15-0.
The key for Mary Jo Fernandez will certainly be to, when you get tired, you tend to sometimes make the wrong shot selection. You get tired in the head as well. Steffi Graf's problem is that she knows that Fernandez is tired, but she certainly can't expect that alone to win her points, because Mary Jo Fernandez is still going to come up with some shots like this. Holds her ground, takes it early, right off the ground. Steffi Graf did not cover the line. She was looking for something cross court.
That's a smart play As Betsy said, Steffi Graf has to do something because Fernandez now must take more risks. And it looks as though she realizes that as she moves in on that second serve, drills it down to the backhand so that she's looking at a slice backhand. She was nearly wrong-footed on that one, but she was able to make the volley around shoulder height, 15-30. This is getting to be a game of cat and mouse now.
That's a smart play from Steffi Graf as she's hits a big first serve, and she's got Mary Jo out of court and plays the drop shot. You know, the thing is, too, is that we're in the finals of a Grand Slam event, and no amount of fatigue is going to keep Mary Jo Fernandez from not giving absolutely everything she has, and she'll get some extra adrenaline going, and this match will not be lost because of getting too tired, I'm sure.
Well, she wanted that one badly. She was ready to attack it, but the feet were just not moving. They were not in the right spot, so it was a little bit of an overstretched situation on the backhand. It's now game point Graf. And you can think a little bit too much out there, can't you, under these circumstances?
I was just going to say, it really looked like Steffi wanted to pound the forehand and then decided, oh, yes, Mary Jo's tired, I'll play a drop shot. And it's just so hard, I'm sure, to be able to keep your wits about you. But both players just have to play their own game and not worry about what's going on the other side of the court, and how easy that is to say.
So it's now become just as big a mental game as it has one of strokes at the moment.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Fernandez.
Well, now a very tough situation for the #1 seed and the #1 player in the world. Steffi Graf, she faces break point to go down 2 service breaks in the third and final set.
Good play from Steffi Graf, one that I really wish she'd use more, just to make life so much easier for her on the court, because she has such big guns and big weapons. The serve often puts the opponent on the defense, and she could win more points like this than she's willing to do.
Juice.
Well, it's never easy to change the direction of the ball. Mary Jo Fernandez is trying to open up the court and take some chances. That was a pretty big miss. So a game point for Graf.
Égalité.
Just when Steffi Graf really needs to play error-free tennis, she makes the error and just allows Mary Jo Fernandez right back into it.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Fernandez.
So a second break point for Mary Jo Fernandez.
This crowd have really enjoyed this battle.
Merci.
And you can hear them. They're terrific tennis fans here at Paris. Tennis is a very major sport now in Europe.
What a nice weapon to have, a free point like that at a huge stage of the match.
I'll make that 5 aces for Graf. Big time for that to happen. Juice once more, another huge battle on serve.
Mademoiselle Graf.
Graf just added about 5 miles per hour or more to those two first serves.
Game point Graf. Well, Mary Jo had given up on that point. She played the slider down the line. It was not a good shot and was about to walk around the net.
This is a couple of times that Steffi acts surprised at the slice up the line. You can see Mary Jo had just about given up on this, but the ball was so short. She just had to take a couple of steps and she was there.
Silence, merci.
Mark that one down. That could be a very big point if Fernandez is to break serve here. Fernandez was jumping around a lot looking for a second serve, and it happened to be a good deep second serve that sort of caught her by surprise straight at the body. She could do nothing but bunt the ball back, and it set up the easy forehand for Graf. So now another game point. That one's long, so Graf survives a couple of break points. Fernandez still with a break, though, leads it 2 games to 1. Final set.
Fernandez mène par 2 jeux à 1.
Well, the women's final here has proven to be one of the most exciting we've seen in many years, irrespective of who wins it from here on in. But at the last changeover, we said Mary Jo Fernandez was looking rather tired and weary, and she'd had some help from the trainer. The trainer was again out there. But really, Betsy trying to press on a nerve in a chest or something to relieve some, whether it's she's having trouble breathing, but the trainer was out there. Fernandez still with a break. That's the second time. The trainer can be out there at the chair umpire's discretion. Be there at the chair umpire's discretion, but if a timeout injury, she must ask for that timeout, and it's a 3-minute timeout injury timeout. And Mary Jo Fernandez has not asked for that. She's been treated at the changeover. Fernandez down now, love 15.
Gaza.
see that point there. Throughout that point, Steffi Graf was caught deep in the forehand side. She played a slide to it, and then this forehand. And again, watch what happens here with the footwork. She is able to slide into this shot. Look, slides into it, saves that extra couple of steps, keeps a balance, and plays the winning stroke. Fernandez doesn't play as much tennis on this type of clay court and just does not have that ability to do that sort of a stroke or a slide into the point, into the shot. Well, now a big opportunity here from the drop shot to a double fault. And now Graf with 2 break points to get back even. Christian Beam, the man in the check shirt there, the new president of the French Tennis Federation. That one is wide. So Fernandez has lost the break. Graf makes it work for her, and we're at 2 games all. Final set.
Un peu de silence, merci.
Don't forget on Nine's Wide World of Sports at around 3 a.m. tomorrow. Stay with us after the cricket tomorrow morning for the men's final. Jim Courier and Sergi Bruguera, 2 of the hottest clay quarters in the business. Jim Courier, a 2-time champion here, going for 3 in a row. Sergi Bruguera, one of the most successful European clay quarters. And then in 2 weeks' time, it's Wimbledon. Live coverage, the 2 weeks of the championships. 15 love, Graf.
Much shorter points happening now. Mary Jo Fernandez is still trying to stay inside the baseline and be aggressive, but she's now starting to really commit the error too early. She knows she can't let the point go too long because she's tired, yet she's trying to end it a little bit too soon with some pace, with some aggression. It's not working for her, and Steffi Graf is just playing very consistent tennis right now.
Nine of the last 10 points for Graf now. Upspin backhand down the line, and they're the trophies they're playing for as Graf goes to the front for the first time. 3 games to 2, final set. Mary Jo Fernandez coming back onto the centre court here at Stade Roland Garros. And the cherry picker crane, that's where you get the overhead shots from high above the stadium court here. Our friends from French television providing us with the pictures. Now Graf in the driver's seat at 3-2. Shouldn't say in the driver's seat, they're back on serve, but there has been a change come round as Mary Jo Fernandez had the early break in this 3rd set and has lost it.
Just what she'd like to have right now, a couple easy free points off her serve.
She's getting them. And as you mentioned, Betsy, this is the final of a Grand Slam event, and it doesn't matter how tired Fernandez gets. She's going to be there till she drops. You don't get too many shots at a French Open.
topspin backhand from Graf. She's tried several of them, not only in this match, but in previous matches during the French this year. She's beautifully executed, so talented, so good with her hands and wrists, such great control.
Well, Mary Jo Fernandez hangs in there. It is now 3 games all. The last time Steffi Graf won this title, you folks that watch our coverage on Nine's Wide World of Sports might remember Natalie Zvereva when she electrified this French crowd and got through to the final, but she ran into Steffi Graf and lost love and love in about 42 minutes. This has been a much tougher encounter than that one.
Premier service.
It was that very next year, 1989, that Mary Jo Fernandez put out the #2 seed at that point, Gabriela Sabatini, and got herself into the semifinals.
Well, since 88, when Graf beat Zvereva, she's lost in 3 finals here, and that's where you said, Betsy, it's been a lot of theatre here for Steffi Graf over her career.
Well, the year after she won it in 88, she was in the final in 89 against Sanchez Vicario. Was up 5-3 in the 3rd set and lost it to give Sanchez Vicario her first Grand Slam title, and only one so far. Well, continuing the attack, she knows that this is where she's won so many of her points. After she hits it, she moves forward. She sees that this is a good ball to come in on.
When she went for that volley, it was going to be a winner or a loser. It was not going to come back. Very well played, and it's love 30. Seesaw battle, this one. 3 break points now for Fernandez. This is going to be decided by inches, and that was only barely wide on the volley. A very smart play by Fernandez. She missed it though, and Graf is still in this game. 15-40. Tried to ride it over. Mary Jo Fernandez just hit the top of the tape, bounced along the tape, touched it again, and fell back. Still a break point for Fernandez.
S'il vous plaît.
Double fault. That's 2 double faults in that game, and now Fernandez has the service break. 4 games to 3. Final set.
Mademoiselle Fernandez mène par 4.
What a tremendous battle this has been. The #5 seed in the championship, Mary Jo Fernandez, now leads the #1 player in the world, the #1 seed here, Steffi Graf. 4 games to 3 in the final set. The trainer came out on court on that changeover. Mary Jo Fernandez said she was okay, and the chair umpire asked her to leave, and now Fernandez serving with a break.
And new balls. Very aggressive backhand volley from Mary Jo at the net.
15-0.
Totally convinced that this is where she's winning her points from. And look how close she gets to the net to play the winning volley.
Graf starting to push the forehand return now too. This is getting down to the wire, and there's a lot at stake here. Points on the Kraft Tour, the prize money, the prestige of a Grand Slam title. Graf cannot believe that she missed that shot. She was there in plenty of time. She had a nice, graceful slide into the shot and faded it wide down the line. That's the storyline. 2 hours and 18 minutes.
A couple of sliced backhands from both players. The let cord, you can see Graf sprint for it. She got there in time enough to play the shot up the line and just pushed it wide.
Un peu de silence, s'il vous plaît, merci.
Allez, Mary Jo, the youngsters here. Great tennis fans. This has been a terrific week, 2 weeks of tennis. Nothing much happened here until we started the second week. As far as the women's event was concerned, 128 draw. They were down to the quarterfinals. The top 8 seeds remained in the quarterfinals. Mary Jo Fernandez then took out Gabriela Sabatini and Arantxa Sanchez Vicario to take her spot in the final against the #1 seed, Steffi Graf.
Premier service.
Break point now for Graf after a tremendous rally.
Mary Jo running around. She's wanting these forehands. That's the shot that she's scoring, winning points with, opening up the court with. Now she nails the backhand. That's the way she won the match point against Sabatini the other day, and this one just missed by an inch. Break point, Graf.
the back foot as Mary Jo Fernandez advanced to the net. Stayed inside the lines, and we're all even once more. Fernandez from the baseline takes it there. The slice backhand from Graf brings Fernandez into the net now. She moves off the back foot, just chips that one down the line, finds the inside edge of the line, gets the service break. It's 4-all, final set.
Un peu de silence, merci.
And a double fault from Graf keeps Fernandez in the battle. 15-all.
Quinze 30.
15-30.
That backhand slice stayed so low and so deep. Both players really taking their time, even Steffi Graf going back for the towel. She usually plays so quickly, doesn't ever come close to taking her a lot of time in between points.
30-all.
Serve set this up, and Steffi Graf was able to come in off a good slice again. Good control off the high backhand. You can see how close she was. I mean, in retrospect, a lob would have been a good play.
Yeah, Fernandez was on the run, though. The full run to that backhand, that high backhand volley. Graf anticipated the cross-court forehand. It's now game point Graf. She missed the overhead. So Graf dodges another bullet.
Mademoiselle Graf.
And leads 5-4, final set. A standing O from the crowd as these two women come out. They have been there for 2 hours and 26 minutes.
Those are winners and errors, and you can just see how close the numbers are. There's not much between these two in this match. They've been out on court almost 2.5 hours.
It was the right play from Fernandez. It was a better shot from Graf.
This point, again, so well constructed, really, by both players. Mary Jo gets the short one, slices it, comes in cross court. It's a pretty good shot. She's really not covering the line. You need to follow the ball. Easy to save. Steffi Graf hit that very close to the line, and the slice keeps it low, dropped it short. Love 15.
Love 30, 2 points from her third French Open title. Fernandez trying to get the feet moving. Graf is the aggressor, as she always has been. Goes for the winning forehand. Misses. Still 2 match points. Another one saved from Fernandez. Remember, she saved 4 match points against Gabriela Sabatini in the quarterfinal match. It was 5 match points, not 4. She came back from 6-1, 5-1 down. Still is down a match point. And it's over. The errant forehand cost Mary Jo Fernandez in the match. 2 very good friends, these two. A tremendous battle, one of the finest women's finals we've seen here in years, although last year Monica Seles and Steffi Graf was a pretty tough one as well. 2 hours and 30 minutes. Steffi Graf lost the first set, 6-4, came back to win it, 6-2, 6-4. And Betsy, a tremendous effort from both players.
Well, it really was, Fred, just for Mary Jo Fernandez to be in this French Open final, the first time in her career, her 3rd Grand Slam final, was a fantastic effort. But Steffi Graf, just the feeling of winning her 3rd French Open championships, and the first since '88, has to be a tremendous feeling, even though she wins it with Monica Seles, the #1 player in the world coming into this championships, not here.
Aux côtés d'une jeune fille extraordinairement heureuse.
Because her mother flew in from Florida. She's just had serious back surgery, and they're just getting ready for the presentation. We'll take a break and come back with that for you. The Stade Roland Garros. Those of you who have been with us over the years know that they've changed the way they've made the presentation. Normally the players walk up the steps to the president's box, and Philippe Chatrier, the president. This year we have a new president, Christian Beam, who is standing there now, who will lift the trophy up. Chris Evert, who's won this title 7 times, will make the presentation to this year's winner, Steffi Graf, and this is Graf's 3rd win here. Long way to go to get to Chris Evert's 7, and Steffi Graf shows her elation in winning this title. And Betsy, this is going to be a very proud moment for her.
No question about that, Fred. I mean, she's been looking to win this particular French Open championship since she won it 6 years ago.
The crowd there cheering as Henri Leconte gave Steffi Graf a little kiss, and Henri Leconte will present the runners-up trophy to Mary Jo Fernandez. Leconte, a very big favourite here, as he helped France win the Davis Cup against the United States a couple of years ago in Lyon. Chris Evert, Mary Jo Fernandez, very close friends. They both live in Florida. They're pretty disappointed, Mary Jo, there.
I think so, because she certainly had her chances to win this final. She played extremely well, but she has to be very pleased to have gotten to this final.
Not only do they get the coupes and long, the trophies that they have, prize money, as I mentioned, $540,000 US to the winner, $270,000 US to the runner-up. That equates to, look at the photographers there, they were allowed to come in at the net position there. They clamoured and pushed and shoved, and you can see the reflections of some of them in the trophies there that Mary Jo is holding. And as I said, the presentation ceremony has changed somewhat because the players went up to where the presidential box was. Now they've laid down the carpet across the court and put the little stand in there. And a nice touch is the fact that the ball kids are along the back there, and they form the guard for the president and Chris Evert and Henri Leconte to come in.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Steffi for playing a great match today and playing great throughout the tournament. She really deserved to win today.
Marie-Jo félicite avant tout Steffi pour sa victoire aujourd'hui.
Now translating that in French.
Second of all, I'd like to thank my family, my mom and my dad for supporting me, and I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for them.
Elle remercie sa famille, en particulier son papa et sa maman.
Fernandez, Mary Jo's mother, is with her.
I'd like to thank my coach, Harold Solomon, for really supporting me and giving me the faith and courage to play the kind of tennis that got me where I am today.
Remerciements également à son coach.
I'd also like to thank all the sponsors for putting on this great event. There's so many, I'm not going to name them all. But I'd like to especially thank the Graf Tour for sponsoring women's tennis. And more importantly, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out and supporting us. If you guys didn't come out and watch us, we wouldn't play. And the crowds here are fantastic. And I'd like to come back and hopefully maybe win next year. Thank you.
Very nice speech from a very delightful young lady in Mary Jo Fernandez. She is obviously bitterly disappointed. She thought she had a chance. She had opportunities after winning the first set. Now we'll hear from Steffi.
I should have learned French by now, but I haven't. Sorry. Well, anyway, I also want to congratulate Mary Jo. I think she had a great tournament, winning some close matches. And she didn't win today, thank God. But, sorry. But
you can see these two are good friends.
I also want to say the last few years I've had a few close matches here, and the crowd has always been terrific. So I thank you all because you really helped me to get through. Thank you.
Those three matches Steffi Graf's talking about, she lost a very tough one, 10-8 in the third last year to Monica Seles when she had it all won. A couple of years prior to that, she lost to Rancha Sanchez Vicario 7-5 in the third.
You gonna translate?
Steffi, qui regrette de ne pas avoir appris le français, tient à féliciter d'abord son adversaire d'aujourd'hui, qui en particulier gagné. Steffi donc a d'abord félicité son adversaire de jour, qui a gagné en particulier des matchs très difficiles avant d'atteindre cette finale. Et puis, elle nous dit qu'après plusieurs années où elle a eu des finales difficiles ici, elle remercie chaleureusement le public qui l'a toujours soutenu.
That's the translation into French to the French public. We're thanking them to come out here. They've been a great support for all the players in this tournament, and it's a very well-run event.
I also have to thank my parents, especially my mother. She came today from America, and I was very happy to see her. And as well as all my friends and my coach Heinz. I think you've been through a tough moment too today. But they've all been supporting me very much, and I want to thank them. So I shall see you next year hopefully not a close match.
Well, Chris Evert, a delightful champion.
Steffi,
And again, the trophies go there. Betsy, a couple of pretty good speeches.
Yeah, they really were, Fred, under the circumstances, and Steffi just saying, I hope next year's not such a long final. She's played 2 in a row. She lost last year in the final to Monica Seles, who, of course, won it 3 times in a row. She gets her French Open Cup back this year. Last time was in 1988. She's gone through an awful lot in her young life, and a fantastic champion and well-deserved victory today.
And the players just thank the crowd as the president, Christian Beam, finishes. They will walk off the court. We will take a break and we'll come back with the men's doubles final. So stay with us here on Nine's Wide World of Sports.